Okay, with this one we're going to be sketching some sunglasses, and this is going to go back to looking at curved surfaces. Even though this won't be a singular surface, we'll start with a curved surface and we will basically place details onto that surface. And so to begin with, let's start not with a curve, but let's start with a straight line because I want to point out a couple of things. And that one is really bad, so let's take a step back. Let's straight up and down vertical. And what I want to do with this is I want to come back towards the left vanishing point like so, and then up. But what I want to do is I want to find a foreshortened center of that midpoint of that line. And now I want to carry that midpoint out away from that surface. Be careful not to do this too much. In fact, that may be a little bit too much. We're going to go about right there. And to sketch in the arc that would fit this surface, I'm going to draw in a line that's going towards the left vanishing point, and I want to make sure that my arc, this arc that I sketch in here, behaves appropriately. And although it's very subtle, the thing to pay attention to is this arc is accelerating back here. It should be a little bit smoother if you think about where this would be on a much larger ellipse. That ellipse is accelerating as it goes back and it's smoothing out as it's coming forward. Okay, I want to make sure to sketch in a horizontal, a vertical line coming forward. I want to do the same thing back here. I want to think about how tall these glasses are. I'm drawing the face of the glasses first. And so let's assume that those glasses are about that tall. To give me the 3 points that I'm looking for back here, for this arc, again, smoother in the front, and then it'll accelerate as it comes around. And so I'm going to work on the nose. The nose is going to be right on that center line. Not the original center line, but the center line that we pushed out for that surface. And so we're going to see a lot more of the right lens. Or at least it'll be larger to us. And then it'll be squished as it rolls around. And I need to think about that. And so these sunglasses are going to have a fairly flat top. But I'm going to find a couple of points. This is where the bridge to the nose is going to be. And it's going to come angling down. And I could look at this and I could carry this point back over to there. And I could repeat that angle coming over. And that bridge it's slightly rounded off through here. I can carry that point over to the other side. There's where the bridge will be on the other side. This comes off at a very similar angle. There's a slight distance between the top of the frames and right here, so there's a radius. This will come around like so. And then before we get to the very edge of this, actually let's just start the lens right there. This is going to come down straight vertical. In fact, what I'm going to try and do, there's a kind of an angle that works on these glasses that's going to stop this about right here. But this is the frame. I haven't sketched in any of the lens yet. And you can kind of see what I'm trying to do. This is actually a slight angle, but if I was trying to extend something out, I would come tangent to the original arc. I'm going to have a thickness in here where that frame before it meets with the lens, and that lens comes out at the same angle that the bridge does. and this angle is repeated in the lens. So it's not going perfectly with the arc, but I should add some curve. It's not going to be flat. And there's a small fillet that leads into that frame again. I think my frame is a little bit thicker over here, but let me darken in what we're going to try now and mirror towards the other side. Okay, so we're going to try and mirror that to the other side. So I'm going to take that height, and I'm going to try and find, actually, carry that over. It'll be a little, maybe about right there, and I'm going to plot that height again. Let me do that in red, so that you can see it. What I'm really looking at is I'm looking at this original arc that I placed in there, and I'm looking at this height. I'm carrying this angle over, but it's a little bit further than that. It's going to be a foreshortened and curve shortened distance, and that point should line up. Even though it's on a curve, that point should line up with a point going toward a line going towards the left vanishing point, which will be the case with just about everything. The other side of that bridge. And then here's my lens. I should pick up on some thickness. And then the next thing that I want to do, in much the same way, I've got that point plotted. Actually, let me put this in. I'm going to carry this curve. It's going to follow that original curve all the way around, and it's going to accelerate. And then, so the question would be, where does it end? Well, it ends on that original line that I had. So it's going to come down. I could carry this curve all the way over, and that would tell me how far that frame came down on the opposite side. And those points really should line up in a direct vanishing point, vanishing line. So there's this point over here. And we will see some thickness on this side. Not much, but we will pick up on some thickness back there. And so now what I want to do is I want to carry this up almost way where this point is on the other side, because I will pick up, it's not going to be the exact same curve as our original curve. It should work along that curve, but also angle up. And so there's the lens on the opposite side. There's a little bit more of an angle. There's the front face of that frame on the far side, and it extends a little bit further to about right there before our temples start to work their way back. So here's my vanishing line going towards the right vanishing point. I need to put a little bit of convergence on there. Some convergence here. And from the top, these temples angle in towards the center. Both of them do. And when I say angle, they curve in. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually start right here in the center, and I'm going to put that curve in. So it's not going towards the right vanishing point, it's curving slightly in as it goes back. And we'll determine and pick a distance that's coming back. I'll carry that distance over to the other side. I need to make sure these are converging. And that should be in between, well, not in between. Should be coming in about that distance, about this distance. And so there's almost a center line that's going to define the temple. The temple is actually the curve not only in, but there's a curve as this thing heads back. It tapers and gets a little bit smaller. And so I'm going to find a couple of points before we round this thing off and try and create a curve that hits those points. Same thing here. Carry that point over, carry that point over. A curve that follows the original curve that I put in there. And then I'm going to round this thing off back here. Round this off. I need to add a thickness to the top of my frame and temples. It should be somewhat consistent. This comes over. There's a break where the temples fold in. Should be a little smoother right through there. And then I just need to darken in some of the details I want to stand out. And then, oh, I forgot to put some thickness on the bridge. And there are those sunglasses.